MMA fighter Raja Jackson is reportedly being investigated by the LAPD after appearing to beat his opponent unconscious during a live-streamed wrestling match. Video shows Jackson being accosted by other fighters during the event at KnockX Pro Academy in Sun Valley Saturday night.
Raja Jackson is at the center of a storm that no one in the fight world saw coming. The son of legendary fighter Rampage Jackson is now under police investigation after a shocking assault left a wrestler in the hospital fighting for his life. The story has spread like wildfire, not just because of the brutal details, but because of the famous name attached to it. This isn't some small backstage fight that got swept under the rug. This is a case where someone's life hangs in the balance, and one of MMA's most famous families is right in the middle of it. The moment news broke, fans, fighters, and even people far outside of combat sports started paying attention. How could this happen? Why would Raja take it so far? And what comes next for a young man who may have just thrown away his entire future in one terrible moment? The investigation is real, the backlash is real, and the ripple effects are being felt everywhere. But as the details continue to unfold, the story only gets darker and far more complicated than anyone thought at first.
You worried about Psycho Stu?
Psycho Stu?
What, you don't know me?
Hell no. Yeah.
Hey, I think that's a...
Oh, you don't sell it?
He's not a worker, bro. Calm down.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
You're good.
What the fuck was that?
At the center of this story is the man who was attacked, a wrestler known to fans as Psycho Stu. Reports say Raja blindsided him after a confrontation earlier in the night. Witnesses claim Stu had struck Raja with a bottle, but hours later when Stu was working his match, Raja came back and launched a violent attack. The number that shocked everyone was 22. That's how many times Raja is accused of punching Stu, even after he was already unconscious. It wasn't just a heated moment, it looked personal, vengeful, and relentless. The result? Stu ended up in critical care. His brother shared updates, saying he was stable but still in a dangerous condition. Friends posted about how serious the injuries were, even claiming he had flatlined at one point. The scene was so disturbing that many are calling it one of the worst acts of violence they've seen in a wrestling ring. And while some try to defend Raja by pointing to what happened earlier with the bottle, most people aren't buying it. They see a young man who crossed the line, and the police investigation makes it clear this is no longer just a fight story, it's a criminal case.
His injuries.
Broken facial bones is from what I'm hearing. Missing teeth. Has no recollection of what happened. Incoherent. And then even from the people closest to it now that I'm disassociating with, they won't even put up.
The emotional impact of this attack has shaken the wrestling and MMA communities. Stu wasn't just some random performer. He was known as a veteran of the scene and a man who used wrestling as a way to heal from his past struggles with PTSD after serving in the military. For his friends and family, that makes this situation even more heartbreaking. Wrestling wasn't just his career, it was his therapy, his escape, and his way to inspire others. Seeing him hooked up to machines, struggling to recover, has left his supporters devastated. His brother begged people online not to fall for fake fundraising links, making it clear the family was only focused on his recovery. Another close friend posted that Stu's case was not as positive as he hoped, and he directly blamed the wrestling school that hosted the event, saying they never should have allowed something like this to happen.
Developing tonight, an attack inside an LA wrestling ring. The son of former UFC champion Quinton Rampage Jackson is accused of brutally beating a wrestler,
but receiving critical care. Meantime, LAPD is involved in this case, and the venue where this all happened said this is reprehensible and never should have occurred.
The posts quickly spread online, showing just how much pain and anger this incident has caused. For many, it's not just about Stu's health, it's about accountability, safety, and whether justice will actually be served in a situation this ugly. That's when a surprising name entered the story, Mr. Beast. Known as one of the biggest YouTubers in the world, Mr. Beast saw the news and decided to step up. He wrote that it hurt to see what had happened, especially after reading that Stu was a veteran who used wrestling to fight through PTSD. Mr. Beast offered to help with hospital bills, or even do something for Stu's family if that would make a difference. The fact that someone with his platform and resources got involved made the story explode far beyond the fight world. Suddenly, it wasn't just MMA and wrestling fans talking, it was mainstream.
Jackson's father, former UFC champ Rampage Jackson, apologized on social media on behalf of his son and said he was, quote, very upset about the incident. TMZ reports the other fighter regained consciousness and is recovering.
People who had never heard of Raja or Stu were now invested. Some praised Mr. Beast for showing compassion, while others criticized that it took an outsider to offer help when fighters themselves should have been leading the charge. Either way, it added a new layer to the chaos. This wasn't just a sports controversy anymore, it had become a cultural moment, and as more big names reacted, it was clear the backlash was far from slowing down. Inside the MMA world, the reactions were far harsher than sympathy. Sean Strickland cracked a dark joke about anger management, hinting at the violent nature of the attack. Ben Askren, usually known for his humor, was dead serious, saying Raja likely deserves prison time. He pointed out that landing 22 punches after someone is already out cold can cause permanent damage, and said it was only stopped because others pulled Raja away.
Full story. Stu's pretty up, I'll put it this way. What happened yesterday is he choked on his own blood.
On his own teeth, I heard.
Yeah, teeth and blood.
And he lost all of his teeth, right?
A lot of them, yeah. Broken facial bones.
Kevin Lee went even further, posting a video saying Raja needs to go lay down in prison for what he did. Lee admitted he loved Rampage, but said that if it were his own son, he'd turn him in. He emphasized that this wasn't just a fight, it was a sneak attack, a cheap shot delivered while Stu was working in character, not expecting real violence. His words hit hard. Dog messed up. And with police now involved, these comments aren't just opinions, they echo the serious consequences Raja may be facing. But while this story dominated headlines, the MMA world didn't stop moving. Elsewhere, former middleweight champ Dricus du Plessis broke his silence after losing his title to Khamzat Chimaev. Instead of making excuses, he posted a heartfelt message saying he accepted the loss as part of the journey and that it fueled an even bigger fire inside him. He admitted he hated losing but promised his return would be an onslaught bigger than the original domination.
That guy is strong, couldn't finish. Respect that guy. The only champion who was saying my name. This guy has big heart. Real lion. African real lion. Thank you, brother.
Well, Khamzat, enjoy this moment. Congratulations, sir. You're the new middleweight champion of the world.
Thank you very much.
Fans respected his honesty, and even Khamzat himself dropped a handshake emoji in response, showing respect. For many, it was a reminder that while one story in the fight world was spiraling out of control, another was about resilience, growth, and the spirit of competition. Du Plessis might have lost the belt, but he won back a lot of respect, and his words hinted that the rematch or comeback fight will be one to watch. Still, the MMA world can't go long without a dose of drama, and another former champ soon added fuel to the fire. Tyron Woodley, never one to stay quiet, made headlines by dismissing current welterweight champion Jack Della Maddalena. Woodley said there were at least 10 fighters from his era who would beat him easily, including names like Carlos Condit, Robbie Lawler, and Wonderboy Thompson. He made it clear that while he respected Jack's skills, he didn't believe he could survive in the golden era of welterweights. It was a sharp reminder of how legends often look at the new generation not as equals, but as fighters who haven't yet proven themselves against the toughest competition. Fans debated whether Woodley was right, or whether he was just being salty about the new era moving on without him. But before that debate could settle, another legend chimed in with an unexpected critique, and this time it was aimed at Jon Jones. Demetrius Johnson shocked fans by saying Jon Jones isn't the most disciplined athlete. Johnson explained that in his eyes, discipline is about being sharp all the time, not just when it's fight week. He pointed out that Jones often lets himself go between fights, even saying he had a belly at times. The comment sparked laughter during the conversation, but the point was serious. How can someone be called the greatest when they don't live the lifestyle of discipline every day? Fans were split. Some argued that Jon's natural talent is so great that he doesn't need to live like Johnson does. Others agreed with Johnson, saying that greatness should be measured by more than just results in the cage. But while Johnson's comments stirred debate, Khabib Nurmagomedov soon delivered one of the most detailed breakdowns of the week. When asked about a potential fight between Ilia Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan, Khabib didn't hold back. He said Topuria would only have a 20% chance, breaking down how Tsarukyan's wrestling, size, and improved striking would overwhelm him. Khabib emphasized that Topuria has only fought strikers and never someone with a strong wrestling game. He compared it to fighters like Holloway and Oliveira, pointing out that their lack of wrestling made them vulnerable. His breakdown painted Tsarukyan as a nightmare matchup for Topuria, and fans immediately started debating the fight online. It was classic Khabib, calm, detailed, and brutally honest. While some argued he underestimated Topuria's power, many respected his analysis. And as fans argued about rising stars, veterans were making business moves outside of the cage. Luke Rockhold made it clear he has no interest in returning to MMA unless big money and a title are on the line. For now, his focus is on boxing Darren Till at an upcoming Misfits event. Rockhold admitted he doesn't need to fight, thanks to his investments, but still loves competition. He also took shots at the failed GFL promotion, saying it was obvious they were throwing unsustainable money at fighters who weren't even champions. He claimed he used it as motivation to train and collect paychecks, knowing the promotion wouldn't last. His words highlighted the brutal truth of the fight business. Without smart money management, even big promotions can collapse. But while Rockhold was talking business, another fighter was making headlines for something else entirely: Jake Paul. Jake Paul announced he would be boxing Gervonta Davis in November on Netflix, and the reaction was instant. Colby Covington blasted the fight, calling boxing dead and Jake Paul a circus act. He mocked Jake for fighting smaller opponents and avoiding real challenges, saying the fight was a joke. His rant included shots at Jake's past fights, his Hollywood background, and even questioned why Jake sues people for calling his fights fixed if they aren't planned. Fans once again found themselves split, some entertained, others disgusted. But love him or hate him, Jake continues to draw attention, and that's exactly why these fights keep happening. Still, for real contenders, the focus was on serious matchups, and one potential clash had fans buzzing. Khamzat Chimaev has said he's ready to fight the winner of Ankalaev versus Pereira, and Magomed Ankalaev responded that he would gladly face him if he moved up. It's the kind of potential matchup that electrifies fans. Two dangerous fighters, both with massive followings, colliding in a battle that could shift the balance of power in two divisions. While nothing is official, just the idea of it has fans speculating on how the styles would match up and who would come out on top. It's a reminder that for all the controversies, the core of MMA is still about thrilling fights that push the sport forward. But even with all these headlines, one story continues to overshadow them all: the ongoing investigation into Raja Jackson. As the police dig deeper and Stu fights for his life in the hospital, the future of Raja Jackson hangs in the balance. For fans, it's a story that goes beyond sports. It's about responsibility, violence, and the line between showmanship and real danger. Some believe Raja deserves prison time. Others wonder if his father's fame and influence will protect him. What's certain is that a young man's choices have created a storm that won't pass anytime soon. And for Stu, the fight isn't over. It's now about survival. This isn't just a headline. It's a reminder that in combat sports, actions have consequences. And sometimes those consequences reach far beyond the cage or the ring. The question now is simple but heavy. What comes next?